I endorsed him at his request, and I gave him the kind of funeral that he wanted, which as president, I had to approve. I don't care about this. I didn't get thank you. That's okay. We sent him on the way, but I wasn't a fan of John McCain. We needed 60 votes, and we had 51 votes. And sometimes, we had a little hard time with a couple of them, right? Fortunately, they're gone now. They've gone on to greener pastures, or perhaps far less green pastures, but they're gone. They're gone.
So that was at the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Faith. Let's just use that word, faith. A lot of really good Trump-supporting evangelicals there, where Donald Trump just said, fortunately, John McCain was dead. Just think about that. President of the United States said, fortunately, John McCain was gone. He was dead because of a political disagreement, because of a vote. That's who evangelicals are supporting at record rates. That's who Franklin Graham and Jerry Falwell Jr. are supporting. Guy who's suggesting that John McCain said maybe he's in hell. And then, of course, this continues. It is, again, who am I? I'm a sinner, but of course, because I actually read the Bible, I understand that we're all sinners. So I'm not one to cast stones, but
it's just a question.
My gosh, Donald Trump. I mean, how can people support, if you just read the Bible, even if you're not a believer, and you just read the red letters in the Gospels, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, or just go from Matthew 5 to 8 or 9, read the Sermon on the Mount, look at the red letters. That's as un-Christ-like. Any pastor will tell you that doesn't blindly support Donald Trump. It's as un-Christ-like as can be, and yet it continues, and the continued celebration of political rivals being dead continued last night.
So that was with John McCain. He was also lamenting on how much he did for McCain's funeral.
And that McCain was in hell.
I can't even
not
say
in a
it.
better place.
So he went there again at the rally in Michigan, this time about the late Congressman John Dingell, a man who is beloved in his home state of Michigan.
You know Dingell from Michigan? You know Dingell? You ever hear of her, Michigan? Debbie Dingell, that's a real beauty. So she calls me up like 8 months ago. Her husband was there a long time. But I didn't give him the B treatment. I didn't give him the C or the D. I could have. Nobody would have, I gave the A+ treatment. Take down the flags. Why are you taking them down? For ex-Congressman Dingell. Oh, okay. Do this, do that, do that. Rotunda, everything. I gave him everything. That's okay. I don't want anything for it. I don't need anything for anything. She calls me up. It's the nicest thing that's ever happened. Thank you so much. John would be so thrilled. He's looking down, he'd be so thrilled. Thank you so much, sir. I said, that's okay, don't worry about it. Maybe he's looking up, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But let's assume he's looking down.
Wow. Donald Trump, by the way, Donald Trump did no favors for John Dingell. John Dingell was the longest serving member of Congress in American history. He committed himself to working class voters in the way Donald Trump would never understand. Actually did things for them. Actually fought hard for union men and union women. Donald Trump talks about it. John Dingell did it, and he just didn't do it on a lark. He did it his entire life. Yeah. And so what was said last night in Michigan was beyond sick, Willie, but it's something that we've grown accustomed to, I guess.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.